am in front of my release plan for videos for the first 2 quarters of 2021. Took me a while to sort out how to do this stuff, but I'm really excited about 2021. I know it's been a really funky day if you've been watching the political news, but hopefully this is something forward to which we can all look. I'm not sure if that was grammatically correct, but I think that it was. Also, introducing a new segment here for the second weekly update of each month. This is a top 5, who, what, where, when, why, how. Let's see what happens. Hey, this is going to be the first of many. This is top 5 who, what, where, when, why, how videos. I'm going to go with who today. I'm going to do this on the second weekly update of each month. And today I'm going to go with who. I'm going to go with who are some underrated or mostly forgotten bands. I'm going to pepper in some big ones and some little ones. We're going to start off with Primus. Probably should have picked up a bass for Primus, but that was part of the Jerry Was a Race Car Driver guitar part. Larry Lalonde, you've heard me talk about him if you watched some of my guitar lesson videos. He's one of the most creative guitarists of all time. I realize it's hard to stand out when you got Les Claypool playing the bass, but every drummer that they had, I loved the Brain era. Obviously, Herb was amazing. Really just an incredibly influential band from the 90s that has kind of gotten forgotten about. Completely disappeared from alternative radio and alternative music streams. And I even feel like, and I think the evidence suggests that Incubus was the last of the great, or like big bands that clearly wore on its sleeve that Primus was an influence. But Pork Soda, and I'll put a link to my favorite albums by each of these bands in the description. Pork Soda is really kind of a one-of-a-kind album. Totally worth listening from beginning to end. Next one I'm going to go with is Schleho, which was a band that started out as a mostly instrumental band from Boston, ended up in New York from the turn of the millennium, mid-90s to the turn of the millennium era. I grew up in Pennsylvania, from that kind of portion of the world. The first real show I ever got to play where I was like on a stage in a club with lights and a PA and stuff was opening for Schleho. And I might as well have been opening for Aerosmith or something, or the Stones. Like, they are legitimately like superstars to me. But haven't played that in a long time. With the magic of Spotify and stuff, you can listen to all of their music now. I'm going to put a link to a live show on YouTube, a reunion show, in the comments, as well as a link to their albums. Absolutely amazing band. The best musicians, I believe they're the best musicians. I've been in a place where I could actually see them and see what was going on with them. Incredible, incredible band. Next one's going to be the band that started it all for me. That's The Police. In particular, the Synchronicity album. You know how you come up with that concept of like something is cool? For me, it was my oldest sister was listening to Synchronicity, the album. I was walking past her bedroom when I was a kid. She invited me in to listen to it, and I remember like listening to both sides of the album and leaving her room that day thinking, that was cool. Like, that was the beginning of the concept of cool for me. I was blessed enough to see them at Bonnaroo in 08, and it was just absolutely magnificent. Andy Summers is wildly underrated as a guitarist. I know it's hard to stand out when you got a rock star like Sting up front and Stuart Copeland banging the skins in the back. I mean, just one of the most immediately recognizable drummers. And one of the great, like, Sting is so good at being like, I'm a sexy European guy. It's hard to kind of take the spotlight even as a lead guitarist. But Andy Summers did a lot of the stuff for which Tom Morello gets credit, or even The Edge gets credit for bringing it into music. I think he did a lot of that. So the next one I'm going to go with is Yolk, which is a band from Binghamton, New York. One of my all-time favorite bands. I don't even know how to explain Yolk, other than to say the best live shows that I've ever seen. Probably about half of them were this band Yolk, that never really got out of the clubs, as far as I know, from my life in the 90s into the early aughts. But I really think you should check out Individually Twisted from beginning to end. All of their albums are amazing. Some of my favorite songs are on their first album even. Just simply self-titled as Yolk. Caution, Social Repercussions has Reconstructed Wilma's one of my favorite songs of theirs. Propeller. Their whole catalog is amazing, and you don't really know what's going to happen next. I even liked the Brian Burrell era of their work. Just one of my favorite bands of all time. Please check them out. Again, the internet these days allows you to listen to them. Finally, I'm going to go with a band that did get pretty big, but is looked at as a one-hit wonder, and that's Blind Melon. Everyone knows. But they really played some incredible songs on that album, the Blind Melon self-titled album, and Soup, the follow-up, is some of my favorite songs I've ever heard. And all these people, they won't leave me alone, and we need little time to ourselves. Once you learn or you've heard Change enough, good luck hearing that song and not singing along with it. So those are 5 bands that I love that I think have been overlooked or kind of forgotten about or under represented or underappreciated, I think is a better way to put it. Check them out. Links are in the description. I started this video before shit got out of hand in DC today. And I consider not putting it out, but I'm not going to let this mob throwing a tantrum in my country's capital dictate what it is that I do. And, you know, I'm as American as it comes, born here, born and raised in one of the original 12 colonies, lived all over this country, both coasts, you know, the Gulf, the Great Lakes, and I'm just not going to let that happen. So I think that it's upon us. So I'm going to do what it is that I do. And I think that it's upon us to not let them win, to not let them dictate what we do, and also just to always push back on the dark with the light, you know, just like do your best to radiate good shit rather than bad. So I'm working on that, and that's why you're seeing this. Cheers. Stay safe.